in the matrix, I feel like I'm Neo. In my showroom, I got NFTs, so I've been gaming, look at all this crypto. Ready player one, we gon' run it up. Life feel like the Sims, I'm leveling up, oh yeah. But let's see my toe, I've been in.
Welcome to the stream, and today we have a special stream. We obviously just witnessed Nickelodeon blow up on OpenSea, but today we actually have a special guest in the green room. So let me cut the music, and we're just gonna get right into it. We have Brock McBlockchain in the green room. Let me cut over here to Brock so we can feature you. Brock, man, what is going on? How are you today?
I'm doing great. First day of Comic-Con. Excited to see pictures just because I can't physically be there. I didn't get the drop, and so I'm sure there's just tons of people in that booth stealing things from me, obviously. But no, I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So I don't know if you witnessed the blow up of Nickelodeon on OpenSea. It's kind of been all over, crypto Twitter, NFT Twitter, VV Twitter, all of Twitter. So I don't know. My thoughts on this, we're just going to get like right into it. I've seen some kind of hot takes and things like that. I don't know why they have to be hot, but in my opinion, and I'll ask you in just a minute, this is good for branded NFTs and licensed NFTs like what you see on Vivi, and kind of foreshadows the future when you have iconic superheroes and historical comics. And if we do get that interoperability like we're hoping for, then I think that spells the case out for like what's written on the wall. I'm curious, what's your thoughts on this, everything that you see, and kind of just want to pick your brain on that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, right? Like, I think one could say like, oh, look at these big numbers, number go up. Obviously, nostalgia is worth money. And then Vivi has kind of something for everyone. And so when they get interoperable, these marketplaces, they're just going to boom. I think that it'll be somewhere in the middle. I think that there'll be some things that are just, and I don't even mean grails. I just think there's some things that are going to resonate with people. And they're like, whoa, this is officially licensed. Wow, not only when I buy it here on whether it's the Immutable X marketplace or OpenSea, I can buy it, I own it, but now I can put it in Vivi and get kind of even more utility. And then as the Viviverse opens up, like there might be use cases there. There could be other games that are going to use these things, stuff like that. So I think that it'll be interesting. It'll be neat. I do think though that each of the licensed IP on Vivi are not like a project where there's actually like a dedicated team to making that NFT actually have a ton of utility and whatever. But we also see projects that do have a ton of teams like committed to them that still it's just like they drop it and it's like cool, you can either order a print or order a t-shirt, and that might resonate with some people. It doesn't mean that's going to resonate forever. Another thing would be that just the end product, right? Some people will still see these and say like, oh, it's just a JPEG, like I could have downloaded that, and not really see that it's a one of one or that there are unique things to it. So I think it's going to just depend on the audience and how it resonated. I think this is one data point of where it is new. It is the first time that this has come out. And we'll have to see, do they do another drop? Do they do another, where does the future kind of go from this? And then also, if you've got the Rugrats and Hey Arnold, and then maybe they drop Doug or Angry Beavers and Nickelodeon just starts doing this, like, how does that affect the rest of the landscape? As we've kind of seen with Vivi, like when it's the first thing and everything's only here, as you start to get more and more, I think people never naturally gravitate towards what they want. So we'll see. The price is definitely kind of doing some exciting things, but also like what else is going on in crypto? Like we've seen some things such as like Moonbirds. I just saw that they dropped something for their people, and I've heard that the reaction's a little underwhelming. And so that was a project that was huge in the get-go, and then over time, let's see. Whereas I think Vivi has the ability to upgrade models, give them more utility. We've even seen them kind of animate after the fact. You can pose with them, you can create with them in these crazy showrooms. So for me, I think like that's the bar, but that doesn't mean that other things are bad. And so it'll be interesting to see. I think what it boils down to is if you like these, buy them. If you don't like them, then whatever. I think it's just it is for me. I think in Web3, a lot of people come from like Web2, where it's like this is the best and I love it, and this other thing is a direct threat to the other thing succeeding. And It's just not that way. I think it's probably pulling more people into the space, maybe that are like diehard Nickelodeon fans. It would be interesting to look up like who owns Nickelodeon, like what company, and then see like where they might be doing other NFT things, because that would be really interesting if they were owned by like CBS and then CBS was somewhere else. But anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just so much that could happen, or even what Ecomi does. Like maybe they could do this a similar model as well, just on OpenSea. I mean, who's to say that doesn't happen either? So I think you're right though. It's like what's good for branded NFTs is good for everybody, and I think it draws more attention to the space. So that is exciting. I personally didn't partake in that. Um, Vivi's got me spoiled a little bit, I feel like, and I don't know. I wasn't like a raging, Hey Arnold or Rugrats. I grew up on it, but I just wasn't like a raging. Like I rather collect Batman, if that makes sense. But
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, like
curious,
big orange couches were big for a lot of people, right? So
slime and
we'll,
yeah,
we'll see. Yeah, I think it's getting started, and if anything, we've seen even Vivi doing similar. We're taking things that are nostalgic, or brands that have not fallen off, but just like they're in that nostalgia category, and kind of like resparking interest and letting us interact and kind of just, I don't know, feel good about owning a piece of things that we used to love and now can love in a new way. So
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I now what was it, Reptar? I would love to collect one of those. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, so anyways, like let's go into it because I know you're like super busy, you got stuff going on, literally probably like doing some fish stuff, and let's
yes.
talk about that a little bit. We are moving into, you have a tournament going on right now. Top, I think it's 5 players, that it might be more. You can earn a prize pool of over 2 million OMI, which I think is super awesome. You must play up to at least 10 matches per fish, but you have to also,
Uh,
or is that
let's
right?
clarify that. So I've got like I literally have like 2 minutes of that. I'm late to a meeting, but the Fish Arena is live now. If you've got a fish, you can play 5 matches per day. It resets at 12 like midnight UTC, but you can pay an OMI for up to 5 more matches, and that money, half of it gets burned, half of it goes into the prize pool. So you don't have to. There's no limit. The top 20 players receive a slice of the prize pool. It is seeded with 2 million OMI. But then as people play to get more matches in, that money goes in to grow the pool. Even if you play it and you suck, like sometimes I do, each match that you enter into play. So even if you just play for fun, like 1 match a day or 5 matches a day, that's almost like 5 lottery tickets, because there's going to be 20 random winners at the end. We'll pull 10 matches, and both the winner and the loser, so both participants, will receive money. So even if you don't play very much at all, you still have a chance at winning. I think it's like 1.4% of the entire prize pool. So, and then if you're not in the way, we're jumping into the metaverse. So we're building a metaverse now. Doing calls to kind of like set up the 3D environments and stuff now. Yeah. So just keep pushing value is my take.
Let's go, man. I'm excited for it and see, I'm curious to see who wins. And thank you so much for joining, man. I know you're
Of
busy
course.
and late to that meeting, so I'll let you jump.
No
But
worries.
yeah, so absolutely.
See
It
you
was,
guys.
yeah, everybody wave by to Brock in the chat. And yeah, let me go ahead and cut over to the other screen real quick. All right, here we go. Let's just go here. So yeah, back to the Nickelodeon. We're gonna pull up some stats here quickly on OpenSea, and we're gonna show you guys kind of like what's going on the activity, how many Ethereum they've earned in the secondary market. It was quite a bit. We're gonna cut over also to their main Twitter account as well, and I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of what they've been communicating in terms of on their social media platform. So let me go ahead and cut that one here, and we're just gonna slide on over to OpenSea as well. All right, let's go back to the streaming screen so you guys can see on my screen here. And we'll also be cutting over here to Nickelodeon. So we're going to go to Nickelodeon NFT. In case you didn't know, that's they have like their own Twitter account. So yeah, like here's some of the news going on in Nickelodeon NFT world. They were tweeting quite a bit this morning as well. Nickelodeon on fire. Yesterday we reported unopened packs floor at $95. So this was, 4 hours ago. Recur Forever announced that they hit number 1 on OpenSea last night with 516 Ethereum traded, now rising to 1 ETH, which is not a bad amount. Now, let me see if I can find their OpenSea link so I don't click on anything scammy here. So, yep, so we have Rugrats and Hey Arnold. Like I said, I didn't personally partake in this. This is not a bad game, though. 0.3. When we consider the price of Ethereum, that's going to be $466 collection here. So not bad, right? So $466. This looks more like what you would see like on normally a VV drop. Now I thought packs were $50, but I guess they had some kind of special packs. I did watch Chris Coffey's like the beginning of his stream, and I saw something was like $90, and maybe that was resold packs, like people that bought packs on the secondary or were buying packs and then reselling them on the secondary. What's up, all my favorite people at MLB? Welcome to the chat. Great to have you on. Let me get the stream. Let me see if I can get the chat over here live on this screen as well. Make sure you guys comment in the chat so you can see your own chats here live on the stream. And so, yeah, you can see here as well. We're going to take a look here a little bit at the activity on OpenSea as well. As you can see, these are going, let's see, this one sold a minute ago. We got 2 minutes, 6 minutes, as you can see here at the right-hand side of the screen. If you haven't used OpenSea, you can actually sort by activity on the top of the page here. Can't really see because my big head's in the way, but right here you can go to items and activity, and it'll show you like all the information. Now, it did look like the average price yesterday or a couple days ago was 8 ETH, and maybe that was because there's only a couple listed or an auction. But yeah, as you can see here, these have been selling pretty consistently. Like these are moving pretty quickly, like every other minute or every minute, at least one of them sells. So there's some pretty decent volume here. We are also in a bear market, so that is something to notate as well. We're also going to see here rankings and stats. And at the moment, Moonbird's oddities, this is taking the #1 spot. I think this is the one that Brock McBlockchain was mentioning here as well. So you can see the 24-hour change. Now, Nickelodeon's 24-hour change was, pretty massive here. You can see the volumes at 1,100 Ethereum right here on the charts. You have a floor price of 0.3. Obviously, owners only 2K out of 4K items. So it does look like people are buying two Nickelodeon NFTs pretty much on an average here, as you can see. So that's the unique owners right there. So that kind of shows you what's going on in terms of these items. Now, this isn't all the items. I believe this is a 10K collection. Now, let's get into why I think that branded NFTs are going to dominate OpenSea when they come over here. Now, although that Nickelodeon is like a 10K collection, as I mentioned earlier, there's nothing stopping from Ecomi partnering with a different project and dropping branded experiences as well and doing their own 10K collection, whether that's through their, obviously their application VV, which everybody knows of because that's where all the brands are. And that's where you have these huge brands like Marvel, Disney, DC. You can actually we'll just go through this list. You can see Back to the Future, Back to the Future 2, Ultraman, Adventure Time. You have literally these stamps from the U.S. government. You have Black Panther. I mean, these are a lot, Cartoon Network. And a lot of these brands are going to show up on other platforms as well, but these are the first appearances of these IPs. For the most part, are mostly on VV for the most part. Disney, you even have like the characters in Disney, like Stitch, the villains. You have Decon, which is DesignerCon, where all the artists are at. Which in return, if these are interoperable, which we expect a lot of these artist drops to be interoperable, that we, maybe some of them don't go to #1 on OpenSea, but I think they'll still do really well and still have a valid fan base underneath them. We have Fantastic Four, DreamWorks, which is another huge company. The Age of Voltron. I think we're going to see a lot more from DreamWorks here. You have Jurassic World Dominion. We know how that one kind of went there, but yeah. So if VV wanted to do like a branded, like a generative kind of branded drop, I don't think there's anything stopping them from doing that. We see that VV is going to do 1-of-1 drops. So And that's a blind auction. That's something we have seen traditionally in the NFT space on other platforms like Nifty's, I believe, and some other platforms that have those special one-of-one drops and things like that. So in my opinion, there's nothing stopping Vivi from doing this as well, which begs the question, will Vivi and branded NFTs start dominating OpenSea when we see more and more of this? This is a case I was making last year, is branded licensed NFTs are a big deal and would dominate OpenSea. Now, this is just Nickelodeon, so this is an IP that sure you could be a big fan of when you're younger, you grew up, and maybe you want to collect these. That's totally cool, totally fine. But I think this is pretty exciting in terms of where you're at, like it's or in terms of Vivi, I guess. And if you're a collector on Vivi, and even other platforms. I mean, we've seen other platforms like Virtua. There's obviously Palm NFT. Those are kind of the bigger branded, I guess, types of blockchain. Even Eternity Chain. I just dropped a video on metaverse tokens and mentioned them. That's actually kind of a branded licensed type of platform as well. There's other platforms I'm trying to think of off the top of my head, but those are kind of the biggest ones that I can think of out of the box. But as you can see, like OpenSea is dominated mostly by PFP projects, right? We know that PFP projects haven't performed the best this past bear market. And I think we'll see a resurgence of obviously of like the blue chips and things like that. I think over time, like the degen projects that can't really establish themselves as like those kind of actual blue chips, I think they will actually die off. These are kind of ran like companies, if you will. And I think people will naturally make bad decisions and choices, just like some businesses do in the business world. Let me go ahead and close this real quick. Actually, let me go ahead and see if we have somebody else popping in on the stream in just a second. Okay, let's see. Sorry, guys, just getting a message here. But yeah, so this is, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments here. Do you think that platforms like Vivi or branded NFTs or licensed NFTs will dominate OpenSea? What's stopping them right now from doing the same thing that Nickelodeon just did? So that's kind of my question for you guys. Let me know in the chat below. Kryptoni says, I think Vivi should have allowed us to go to OpenSea to sell for ETH. They wanted everything in-house. Now Recur has taken advantage of being the new kid with big IP. Being too careful can hurt. That's pretty true. But like they do have their own marketplace at the same time. So it kind of is in itself like a competitor to OpenSea. So yeah, it is curious to see though if they can somehow program this into OpenSea where they have royalties and all that. I'm sure they've are already looking into it. But yeah, I believe you're right. So it is interesting to see, like, because this is just a one-off, generative project, right, from Nickelodeon. This isn't like they don't have millions and millions of NFTs like Vivi does. So there's kind of like some differences there. I could see why, I could see why. Let me go to Immutascan here. Why Vivi would hold off to make sure everything, like they got their ducks in a row, because you're better safe than sorry, when you're playing this brand game. So there's like almost 7 million NFT tokens minted right now here on Immutascan. So it's about to break 7 million. That's a lot of NFT. So that's a stark contrast from just 10,000 NFTs, really only 4.2K here on OpenSea. So I could definitely see why, they would hold off a little bit. As much as they can. When you're talking about these smart contracts and interoperability, you definitely are gonna fall into people making mistakes, unfortunately, and maybe signing the wrong contract and getting your NFT stolen. And if you're a Vivi collector and you do have your NFTs, cute girls, thanks for just subscribe to the channel. Thank you, appreciate that. But yeah, so you're opening your also a can of worms when you do go to OpenSea and you do these types of drops. Now, we know that Vivi has been playing very careful in terms of that, and trying to create a UI UX that is safe for people to use. And they know that companies like Disney is also tracking that and making sure that users have the best premium experience as possible. So there definitely is big trade-offs when you go to OpenSea. So I could definitely see why Vivi would hold off on that. Let me get caught up here to the chat. By the way, I'm not quite sure why the chat is not popping up here. There we go. Let me put it back on the screen. All right, let me catch up to the chat. Being a walled platform in the way to go right now in a recession, too many scams happening out there. Being decentralized has its perks. So I agree with Mark right there. I believe it has pros as well. I am a degen at the end of the day. Like, I own Neo Tokyo Citizen, so don't get me wrong. Like, I love decentralization, but I do understand now that you do need centralization when it comes to some of these projects and some of these types of things, right? Same thing with games. Like, there's going to be games that are like, GameFi, decentralized, and you can swap with a MetaMask wallet, do all this crazy stuff, but that's not going to be for the mainstream. Like, those games will only go so far, and to crypto native people, those games will be fun. But if you're really trying to penetrate the mainstream market and onboard tens of millions of people, you do have to have some form of centralization, in my opinion, to make it a seamless process, like custodial wallets. That is something that's huge. I know in the past, trust me, I was a Coinbase, like, saying, like, you don't own the keys, you don't own your wallet. Like, that's a traditional, like, cliche, old school argument, right? And I agree with that, right? If you don't hold your keys, you don't own your funds and your crypto, right? Or your NFTs in this case. But there's a big catch there, though. The thing with Coinbase is, like, your fund, like, for the most part, I think they actually insure, especially like USDC and some other like coins and products on there, especially if you're an enterprise or pro account. They insure up to like I don't know what the actual dollar amount, but they like insure stuff on there, if I remember right. And so, like, if something goes wrong on the platform, it's kind of on Coinbase instead of you, the user. So there's trade-offs for sure. But yeah, it's definitely a balance. And I think we're here so early that projects, platforms, and companies like Coinbase are working to solve these problems. I know my man Dan doesn't like, I don't want to go on the record, but on that one. But yeah, so there's definitely trade-offs there. John Doe says, for sure, they will dominate. If VV went straight to OpenSea, it would have been seen as a pump and dump, in my opinion. Ooh, that's a great point. The way they are now, they're establishing themselves, building their brand. Again, in my opinion, that's very, very, very true. Yeah, so that makes a great point. Is if they went to OpenSea, especially back when they first got started, would it be viewed as a scam or like a cash grab or a money grab? The way that they position themselves now is a market leader because they have their own app, they have the web app now, they have KYC and cash out. Yeah, it did take them a while, but I mentioned this many times before. I used to have an account on, it was a New Zealand account. And years ago, they actually got shut down because it was a crypto exchange based in New Zealand, and New Zealand has very strict laws, and we know that's where the founders live, is in New Zealand, and they're complying with specifically New Zealand laws. I mean, why would you not if you're from there? I know the company's based in Singapore, but it does like beg the question of, since they are located in New Zealand, my guess is that they're really working hard to maybe move New Zealand forward in the NFT space so they can do stuff. Ultimately, I know like New Zealand people are like hardcore about New Zealand, and same with Australia, like they're all about Australia, right? Anyways, that's a kind of a big rant there. Mr. Charlie 0225, they weren't too careful. They're calculating the right time to dominate the market. When they have the foundation completed, they will go all out. That's another big point too, is like they're being very careful, because if they roll out 7 million plus NFTs, we know that they're going to keep dropping NFTs at Comic-Con. There's like 5 drops per day. This is going to add up. This is going to add up very, very quick to, 10 million and beyond NFTs. So it does beg the question is like, We know that David Yu and Dan Carruthers are perfectionists, that they want the app very much perfect or at least seamless. Obviously, they can work on like the sexy things of the app, but I know that they didn't expect this explosion of growth at the beginning of last year, and now we're here. I think they've done exceptionally well considering how fast they've grown, and they continue to sell out drops. I mean, that is phenomenal when you're looking at it from an investment standpoint. And they can literally build it. There's other products that have cool tech, but Vivi can literally, once they have their foundation down, I think they can do all the above, right? I think they can do their own game if they wanted to. They could do like these types of generative drops like Nickelodeon did with the other brands if they wanted to. Like it's really not that hard to figure this stuff out anymore in 2022 at this point in July, right? There's generative scripts. You can, people are launching projects every other day, generative projects. So this isn't something that's actually revolutionary in terms of what is possible. Now, do I think it's cool? Yes. Do I think it's bringing in users from mainstream? Maybe. Is it good for the NFT space? Yes. So I do think that this drop and it being number one on OpenSea, at least yesterday, was very important for the space to see. And this caught a lot of publicity from degens and Web3 like maxis. So for that reason, I am excited about Nickelodeon being number one. And I do think this builds a case for other NFTs. I even seen my man over here, Crypto Stash, which I've appeared on his channel like once or twice. He operates a big Web3 gaming channel. I actually tweeted him out. Let me go see if I can grab his tweet real fast on Twitter. If I can find it. Sorry, guys. So my man Crypto Stash over here on Twitter says, what's your favorite collection from VV Official? So yeah, like he's been watching VV, like I talked about it a little bit on his channel as well. So like I said, he has a big Web3 gaming channel and everything like that. If you don't know who he is, definitely check him out, and also comment here on his Twitter and let him know. Isaiah, appreciate it for the dono, man. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. All right, 2.3 million owe me enough to make me rich. So I saw this on the stream the other day on Randy's stream. You asked that as well. That, I mean, yes, long term. Now, it depends on what your version of rich is. I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know what country you're a part of or you live in, I mean. But yeah, so it just depends on that situation. And also depends on how long you hold. So when you're talking about OMI and the burning and everything, especially now, like there's massive amounts of OMI being burned every day. And I think long term, yes, 2.3 million is going to be a nice amount to have. But I think you'll need definitely more if you want to be quote unquote rich, or at least like it depends on like what your definition of rich is. And this is not financial advice, by the way. So there's just too much I don't know about your situation and stuff like that. So, and what your everybody has a different definition of rich, right? Is it $1 million? Is it $500,000? Is it 10 million or 40 million? You know, so it all just depends on that. I see VV on OpenSea as a big bonus. Yeah, me too. I live near a Coinbase. So many lawsuits are filed against them. If you see Todd selling for 12 ETH, you mean to tell me you will not go? You will stay in VV selling it for 2K? Question mark. Now, yeah, if I see it on OpenSea selling for 12 ETH, I'm moving that Todd over, selling it on OpenSea, but then buying all the Todds back on VV and then repeating the process is what I would do. Now, I think that what VV could do is just implement a tech where you can connect your wallet where you have where you want to store your NFT. I don't see why that would be a problem. I know they want everybody to buy and sell and trade on VV specifically. And I do know that they want to keep it somewhat of a walled garden there for the experience and many different reasons, right? In the showrooms and things like that. So, yeah, so I think, and for me, like as a kind of a VV fanboy, if you will, I don't know if you want to call me that, but I would keep it in VV just to kind of support them. I know some people would want to go to OpenSea to list it for more. I think they would kind of correlate value between the two if that happened, though. I think that if they're listed for 12K on OpenSea, I think people would relist them on the VV app for 12K as well, 12K gems. I don't think that or 12 ETH, however much 12 ETH would be, they would just come over and list it on the VV app as well. So actually, let's see what 12 ETH is. If this will. Oh, I think my keyboard actually just died. Let me plug it in real quick. That's kind of fun. It's kind of funny. Isaiah donated through Super Chat. When will VV... Thank you for that, by the way. Appreciate the Super Chat. Much appreciated. When will we see VV on DApp Radar? That's a good question. DApp Radar usually monitors smart contracts. So that is a good question. I would imagine that... here, let me plug in my keyboard real quick, guys. All right. All right, we're back in business. My keyboard, it's wireless and Bluetooth, but so yeah, 18,000 gems. Could you imagine Todd at that level? Yeah, so DApp Radar, they track smart contracts and addresses. So I would imagine as soon as somebody submits it, that'd be a good question for Alex, I think, or somebody on the marketing team, is because DApp Radar, I kind of helped get that I helped get that listed for Illuvium. So I know it's not that hard to actually do. So, but that's something that is more of a question for VV's marketing team. I definitely see the upside of centralization, but profit is profit. True. Yeah, profit is profit. But like I said, I think people would be smart enough just to see that on OpenSea and just list it. And who's to say like VV just doesn't have their own like, because it says buy recur. So couldn't VV just do the same thing? Couldn't they just have their own marketplace on OpenSea, just like Recur did? So it's like, what's stopping them from doing that as well? Probably not much, right? So yeah, so that's the question I have. What's stopping Recur from doing what VV is doing is VV has a tech stack and the users, and they have all these brands. I have a Recur pass, so and I am watching the drops, so it's not like it's Recur versus VV. It's not like that at all. But it's just one of those things you have to ask yourself in terms of like an investor and things like that, or the long run of both of these platforms. The Master Collector program will keep most people in the app. Utility and viewing of NFTs won't be a good exposure for everyone, or a good experience for everyone. That's a good point. Master Collector could be very, very potent. That's something that has definitely been overlooked when it comes to talking about OpenSea, is the Master Collectors program. And I think even further that they could connect, like, again, if they did go kind of DeFi or not DeFi, decentralized, that they could you could connect your wallet to VV and still get Master Collectors program. I mean, there's not much of a barrier stopping that. Like if you are able to integrate your MetaMask wallet to the VV web app, and then when you're buying stuff on OpenSea, you can still have that interoperability, and VV still gets the royalties. So in my opinion, it's like technically they could still do that, right? So I don't know. We'll see what they do long term. I think they've addressed these internally as well. So we'll see. I would imagine that they're so busy just signing all these brands in the back end that we just have no idea what's in store for the future of VV. I think that they definitely they're definitely like further down the pipeline than we think. Initially, I didn't think so, but the way they rolled out KYC and payout is it makes me think otherwise now. But yeah, initially I was like, oh, there's going to be more delays. But the fact that they got the KYC and cash out rolled out pretty not quickly, but it was just that they actually did it on time this time. Let me see if I can catch up to some of these comments. If I'm loaded and I have a lot of cash Available to buy a collectible historic one. I do not care if I buy in Ether USD. I go on the platform where FA Vader is, for example. That's a great point. Vader and Todd will easily be 100k sooner than we think on VV or another space. Simple to see why. Yeah, so another thing too is couldn't VV just add in an ETH, the way to list an ETH or OMI? Like, I know they're going to do OMI, obviously. We know that, but we also know on Immutable X you can list in Ethereum as well, and it's a gasless experience. With this layer one, we do know that layer one obviously it costs gas, and it's not as efficient. So that's another thing is like when you're talking about mainstream, this is cool and all like in crypto land, but is this going to be cool and all when it comes to mainstream? We know that VV has definitely onboarded mainstream users and made it easy and simple. So this is another thing to pay attention to as well. Can these NFTs here be integrated in a platform that is easy for mainstream users to buy and collect these NFTs, if that makes sense? So that's another question I do have for going mainstream with NFTs. NFTs is still very much in its own ecosystem. I love NFTs. Like I said, I collect them. I'm still collecting them. I'm collecting game decentralized game NFTs and much more. But I do ask myself these questions because I want crypto and NFTs to go mainstream at the end of the day, right? That's what we want. It's good for everybody. And I just think that this is the future anyways. And I think platforms that are doing a great job into making it seamless for users to buy, sell, and trade NFTs is definitely the future too. All right, let's see here. Let me get let's get some non-fungible wonderful music going, by the way.
In the metaverse, but where we in? In the VV verse, we been going in. On me went berserk when they phoned in. Okay, I gotta go get
These can be easily converted to OMI. VV will eventually, yes, I agree, Mark. VV will eventually list us in ETH or BTC. Probably will already cash out.
in the VV verse, just gonna be my
By the way, I can see super chats way easier because not to say that you have to, but it's because literally like YouTube, and they probably do this on purpose, they blow up and highlight the super chats here on my screen. Otherwise the text is really tiny to see. So if I don't read your comment, that's why. It's just like the chat is literally so hard to see, and I have to like blow it up on my screen. And I have like a 2K monitor. It's just really hard to see all these comments when the text is like two size font basically, at least on my screen. I don't know how to make the font bigger. Let me see if I can zoom in on it without doing that on the other screen. Okay, cool. All right, so if I'm loaded, have cash out, collectible. Let's see if I can scroll back. I know I missed a lot of comments before. Yeah, all chat gaming, smash the like button. He says, yes, if you are enjoying this, you like it, you know what to do. Financial News and Views says, VV doesn't need OpenSea. Getting rid of the interoperability narrative and they're not real NFTs would be nice though. Yes, that's one thing I'm excited about. We know that they have some data here on a Mutascan, and people are wanting more metadata, so that's something that definitely people would like to see. Now the token is showing here, it shows you the token number on Immutable X here. So really it's a non-fungible token, right? It's a non-fungible token just without like all the data is pretty much what it is currently. So yeah, we are obviously looking to have VV added to the open order books so we can see it's basically going to be number one, right? So yeah.
bullish on that cryptocurrency, and you know it. Ever since the pandemic, we've been really on it. Bullish on it, cop it, NFT.
I'm just saying Recur beat us with this. We can't win them all. We win at almost everything. So that's the thing too, is like, but why is it Recur versus VV? Why can't it just be Recur one for everybody that has branded licensed NFTs, right? So while I guess you could, I mean, if you view it like that, that's fair, that's fine. But this is good for everybody. It's we win at almost everything else. Michael Vision says VV dominates by far only because of the team and the IP. Everything else is a win and a bonus, but the team and IP is key. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely the IP and the brands are so significant for sure. But yeah, I think this, like I said, this is a good publicity for everybody involved in the NFT space. I think hopefully it opens people's minds up a little bit more of the possibilities with NFTs. So I think this is just a win for everybody at the end of the day. Did I collect these? No. Do I kind of wish I did? Kind of, yeah. So I could really just to flip it, right? But we are seeing that the floor price is going down a little bit. So this is definitely something to monitor and keep a watch on. Like if people are speculating on just flipping here. We know that's been the case for collections on VV. Like on some of them is flipping, the flippers. So we'll continue to watch this over the next few days and weeks and see what this collection does in the long run. So we should compare the Nickelodeon NFTs on OpenSea with R2D2, for example, not the whole VV. Get my point? Yeah, that's another thing too, is like, what if there's like a bunch of R2D2s? Like how fast will those, like how well will those do on OpenSea? I think in terms of how VV is going to be on OpenSea, though, I think they're just going to have like created by, like it's going to be say by VV, and then you're just going to get like an aggregate of everything being bought, sold, and traded. And then when you click on VV, they're going to have all the different like collections displayed of like R2D2 or the golden moments and everything like that. So there's, I don't know, there's just got to be so much significant things that VV's going to have to work through in terms of integrating with OpenSea. That just seems like a headache. Now they will have to work with Immutable X as well, so we do have to remember that, like, because we know that Immutable X is going to be integrating with OpenSea. So whether that's like, I guess, transferring your NFT to layer 1 and a bridge back and forth, I don't know if they'll do that. Or we do know that they have that available on some of the NFTs on Immutable X, but what I'm saying is they'll do probably both, maybe, where there'll be like an Immutable X layer 2 way you can list on OpenSea. We know that like they've integrated with a few other blockchains now at this point on OpenSea. So let's go over here to the rankings. We can see Solana, for instance, right here. That's Degen Fat Cats. That one's trending on OpenSea, actually. So 12,000 SOL volume. So we do know that there's other platforms that are integrated on blockchains on OpenSea, and even Polygon. We know Polygon's on there. So I would imagine it's not too hard to integrate here. So you have Solana NFTs right here as well under the Explore option. Google first Star Wars NFT, first Vader NFT, VV shows up. Only that Google result would make me jump to buy them. That's a good point. I mean, that SEO is key. I mean, are the Nickelodeon NFTs 3D interactive? Can you pull them up and rotate them, scale the size, and take photos with them? All the stuff you can do with VV NFTs. That's another good point too. That's I think it's going to be different strokes for different folks there. You know, like some people are fans of Nickelodeon, and maybe it just feels like a more degen play. It makes people feel that like they get the best of both of their world, like that degen feel and that branded experience. Yeah, but that's a good point too, is like, but these are just 2D NFTs as well. And you can display this as your profile picture on like Twitter and stuff. So that's kind of cool. But like I said, I'm not like a big fan. Like I'm not going to put a baby of a PFP here on my profile on Twitter, right? I might do Harold Bourbon though. And maybe Gerald. I can see Gerald. Definitely not Chucky. I definitely wouldn't do Chucky. He looks, yeah, I wouldn't do Chucky or anything else really. So I would definitely do the Reptar or whatever. I would definitely do that one. But yeah, this is just not my cup of tea for what I want to display myself in the metaverse, if you will. I watch the cartoon all the time, Hey Arnold and Rugrats, but I don't see myself doing that, listing my profile picture on you know, maybe if I was a kid, my parents bought this, but again, they're not going to spend you know, hundreds of dollars so I could have a fancy profile picture on Twitter at the same time as well. So yeah, I think if VV dropped something like this, I think there would be a higher edition count if it was targeted towards kids. This project, I think, is targeted towards obviously like millennials or older people. All right, well, that's pretty much it. Let me know if you have any questions. I did see somebody tag me here. Is this digital future just first licensed Batman or Star Wars Vader? Only that is massive. Utility or interoperability is just a bonus. Be real, people. So yeah, that's really all I got for the stream. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. If we got any more questions in the comments, let me know. Yo, good to camp. Thank you for what you do. Hey, Mark, I appreciate that. Thank you so much as well. Thank you for being in the chat. Hey, the OG. All right, that's all I got. Make sure you check out my video I just dropped earlier today. It's about metaverse coins. I'm gonna try to switch up my content just a little bit. I'm gonna test a little things. I know some of it may seem like super clickbaity, but that's kind of like what you have to do in a bear market as a YouTuber if you want to grow. So that's something I am kind of tweaking a little bit here in terms of my content. So sorry, kind of pre-apologize about that, but it's something that used to work really well back in the day for me to grow the channel. So we are going to test out a little bit of content, so be on the lookout for that. But go check that video out. There's a couple of good ones I'm taking a look at. Eternity Chain was one of them that I kind of had my eye on for a little bit, because I think Jeremy Padower is actually an advisor to Eternity Chain, if I remember right. So I am kind of looking forward to a couple different projects and stuff like that. Michael Vision, you the boss. Hey man, I appreciate that. You the boss too, man. Thank you for being in the chat today. All right, so that's all I got. I appreciate everybody. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video at the blockchain. Be like an NFT, be authentic, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Investing since May, and we made it to November. Did a lot of things only OGs can't remember. Still getting paid, flipping NFTs in the winter. Yes, I'm feeling wonderful. My vault is up $1 million. Review my vault, I got my stash in it. We on the moon, it was no accident. I got that on me, I am so passionate. Diamond hands, I ain't selling it. I got that sauce, it's in the cabinet. I got a bag, now I'm too legit. Why they so mad, now that we crypto rich? Look at my vault, it's so extravagant.
100K in my vault, it's extravagant. Master collector, yeah, I manifested it. Saw the vision back in March, so I captured it. A lot of people lost hope, we never give up. Try and stay afloat, stacking all my owe me up. A lot of people wishing that they never gave up.